Good morning. Today is Wednesday, July 9th, and the weekend is one day closer. This is Wake Up with KERA News, and I'm Andrew Garcia. There's a good chance we'll see some more thunderstorms throughout the day, and temperatures are also climbing again. Highs will peak in the mid-90s, but it's going to feel a bit hotter. Law enforcement agencies in North Texas have rules for when and how they can chase suspects on the road, but KERA found consequences for breaking those rules varies by department. A deeper look at those rules after the news. As Texas mourns the loss of more than 100 people in last week's flood, a Dallas child psychologist says parents should give their kids a space to grieve as well. Stevie Puckett-Perez with Children's Health says it's important to have an open and safe environment for both the child and caregiver. She says it helps them regulate their nervous system and their emotions. Puckett-Perez recommends asking what the child knows, what they want to know, and how it makes them feel. Children's Health is offering free behavioral health consultations through July 20th. The Denton Community Shelter will no longer be a 24/7 overnight emergency shelter for the rising homeless population in Denton County. The only exception will be during inclement weather events. The shelter operator Our Daily Bread plans to shift services to a housing-focused model for 120 guests at a time. The Denton Community Shelter is eliminating breakfast, ID procurement, transportation vouchers, laundry, and case management for day shelter guests. High-speed police chases can be dangerous and even deadly. Despite that, there are no uniform rules for how and when police officers can start a chase. KERA reporters analyzed police disciplinary records across North Texas, and as our Caroline Love reports, even when officers do break the rules, accountability for pursuits is different from place to place.
Cadets at the Tarrant County College Law Enforcement Academy lined up their department vehicles on a scorching afternoon. Academy instructor Dale Atkinson calls out his car window as he demonstrates how to navigate narrow curves.
And I come in, I didn't hit a cone. Didn't hit a cone, right, guys? Am I within 18 inches of the front
The
cone?
Texas Commission on Law Enforcement requires licensed peace officers to have a minimum of 32 hours of training on police driving. The cadets in Atkinson's class work for different agencies across North Texas. Each one has their own pursuit policy and discipline officers differently for policy violations. Atkinson says there should be a greater emphasis on driving at academies.
We shoot guns all the time, but how often do officers get in a shootout? Not very often, but they drive a car every single day.
A KERA analysis of pursuit-related disciplinary records for nearly 200 officers across the region found an average of 5 days unpaid suspension, even when the chase ends in a crash or death. Officers can get a verbal warning in one department or get suspended for a day without pay at another agency for the same infraction. Some are fired or resign, only to be hired by a neighboring department that's likely aware of their disciplinary history.
If by disciplining them you can't change their behavior, then you need to find something else for them to do.
That's Texas State criminal justice professor Howard Williams.
Because they're dangerous not only to their fellow employees, but they're dangerous to the public.
Adrenaline can cause officers to get tunnel vision, and Williams says the thrill of the chase can lead to dangerous behavior on the road.
Not only do you have one person who's driving irresponsibly, speeding, weaving in and out of traffic, running red lights and stop signs, but now you've got a police officer or two chasing them, which triples the problem.
As long as there have been police chases, and law enforcement may take fleeing as a challenge to their authority. Dennis Kinney is a professor with the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York.
The officer has a hard time separating the potential suspect motivations that are, for the most part, unknown, and required to base the decision on the known facts.
People who are involved in the chase can also be at risk. Bystanders don't always see the cops coming despite the lights and sirens, and officers who hit someone during a chase could be held civilly or criminally liable. Andre Craig died 2 years ago after a Fort Worth police SUV hit his car while pursuing a potentially stolen vehicle. A Tarrant County jury declined to charge the officer, who still works for the Fort Worth Police Department. The city recently settled a wrongful death lawsuit with Craig's family. Tyler Owen with the Texas Municipal Police Association says training can't prepare officers for every situation they'll face in the real world.
When they're handcuffed, no pun intended, or restricted from being able to carry out their duties, it can hurt morale, but more importantly, it can hurt the public in the sense that they're not going to be as proactive because then you put yourself at risk from receiving discipline.
Back at Tarrant County College, Atkinson reminds his students he's teaching them driving techniques, not pursuit policies.
You're out there driving a 4,000 or 5,000 pound vehicle. You do what your department of policy says, and I hope you make the right decision because we don't want to see you on the 5 o'clock news. All right?
In fact, Texas doesn't have specific standards for vehicle pursuit policies or rules on how to discipline officers who violate them. That means it's up to individual agencies to hold their own officers accountable, something that looks different from place to place.
That was KERA's Caroline Love reporting. The Wings are back on the court tonight looking for redemption after Monday's loss. They'll be in Chicago taking on the Chicago Sky. And fans can look forward to seeing the Dallas Wings at the American Airlines Center again sooner than expected. They moved their August 1st game against the Indiana Fever after having one of the WNBA's most well-attended games in its history last month at the AAC. It might just prove that Dallas is ready to welcome the team to the city. Maybe you're the person who watches Jeopardy and excitedly shouts all the answers at your TV screen, or if you're like me, you try to shout what you think the answer is, and you're mostly wrong, but you still have a lot of fun, or maybe you just enjoy learning some new things. Either way, this trivia night is just for you. The Fowling Warehouse in Plano is hosting Jeopardy! Bar League Trivia every Wednesday in July and August for those who want to show off their vast amounts of knowledge. For more information and some other fun things to do, visit our Go See DFW calendar at kera.org/calendar. Thanks for listening to the Wake Up with KERA News podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. This show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That is where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow.